Welcome to the Pell City Podcast. I am your host, Phaith Frazier, and today we have a wonderful, wonderful guest. She is the Executive Director of the Pell City Chamber of Commerce since December of 2019. Cannot wait to talk about that. She brings a rich mix of communications, journalism, and community-focused experience to her role. Please welcome to the Pell City Podcast, Miss Urainah Glidewell. Hello.
Hey, thank you so much for
How are
having me.
you?
I'm doing
Good.
well.
Good.
Yes.
So, let's dive right in.
All right.
Tell me everything that you can in a little nugget about the Pell City Chamber of Commerce and some of the highlights that that are top of mind that people should know about.
Right. Well, like you said, I started as the executive director of the Pell City Chamber in December 2019. Of course, then 2020 happened, and I was learning my new role, and but that gave me a little bit more flexibility and time to learn and really get into it. But since then, even during 2020, Pell City and St. Clair County continued to grow. We had new businesses coming in, new businesses opening, businesses under construction. So we were shifting a lot of things and really focusing on our businesses and doing grand openings, ribbon cuttings. And then also we're constantly looking for ways to give our business community a return on their investment in the Pell City Chamber of Commerce. So how can we build those networks? How can we build those bridges between business leaders and our business community? How can we support our nonprofit organizations? And several ways that we have done that over the past 5 years is implementing a lot of new programs, more networking opportunities. We have business builder breakfast, lunch and learn programs with different educational topics. We have partnered with Jacksonville State University to offer scholarships for businesses and their employees. We've also partnered with the Alabama Chambers to offer insurance, like medical, dental, vision, things that a lot of times that small business owners, it can be very costly for them. So giving them the opportunity to have that buy-in to that, to get better rates, and offer more benefits to current and potential employees so they can continue their business growth. A lot of times those are selling points, and sometimes the small business owners, they can't afford to offer those benefits to. We've also instituted a member-to-member discount program. So we are encouraging our local businesses to support other chamber members through that. So whether it's, closing on a home or buying a sandwich or getting electrical work done, there's quite a variety of discounts. So just kind of growing the benefits, growing our community, bringing our businesses together. Those are a lot of the focuses that we have been investing in.
Come back to that, but I want to ask you, so you have a journalism background and social media background. How did you shift and come to the role with the chamber?
Well, when I was I worked at the St. Clair News-Aegis. I was their copy editor and acting editor at the time. And I actually served on the board of the Pell City Chamber. So I was involved with the chamber prior to the role becoming available. And I just saw an opportunity to continue to make a difference in the community. And, I was a single mom at the time, 3 girls, and, having that the flexibility of the position of working with the chamber was really, enticing to me. So, and just feeling like, you are doing some positive and some good in your community.
So what's been one of or some, you can name more than one, but some of the biggest wins that you've had since you've been leading the chamber?
Oh, goodness. I think some of the biggest wins, usually when I have a business owner that comes to us and say, hey, since we've joined the chamber, our business has grown. We've gotten a lot more exposure. We've gotten a lot more business, a lot more people in the door. Those are some of our biggest wins, is our members' wins, because that's really what it's about. It's about our community and our businesses. And the more successful they are, the more successful we are, because they are, we're investing in our school systems and investing in, our local sports and different things like that. So, just building up community. Also, our partnership with the Pell City High School. I am on an advisory board there. So just getting feedback from, especially those doing business classes. Like, what does our community need as far as future leaders and future entrepreneurs and future business owners and future employees? What are the biggest needs in our community? Because it may be different somewhere else, but focusing on that, getting feedback from our business community, from manufacturing, from our local hospital, just seeing what those needs are, and then talking with the teachers and the educators on how do we implement that? How do we offer kids in high school right now the opportunity to learn skills that when they graduate, if they decide to go into college, they can. But if they have jobs ready and available right here and keeping them in our community, and giving them those opportunities, I think that's a big win for everyone.
Retention is very, very important because,
yes,
grow up and I guess, Pell City would be considered a small town, big city type vibe. And so, a lot of times you think you have to go off and then you come back home. But retaining, number one, great talent is important to places like Pell City, but also, being able to start businesses and have a community of support like the Pell City Chamber behind you to make sure that you are, number one, surrounded by other successful businesses, but you have a support system to help walk you through to, your place in the Pell City society is very, very important. So I think it's wonderful what you're doing. And I'm a member of the chamber and getting acclimated to what that looks like. So let's talk about that a little bit. Like, what would you say some of the key ways that other, businesses and people who are aspiring to get involved, what would you say they need to do in order to be successful, not only as a chamber member, but also, in businesses and being able to kind of navigate the landscape and stuff in Pell City?
Well, I think one of the most important things is your connections. We have social media and we can share and advertise on that. We do a weekly newsletter that goes out to around 2,000 people every week. We have our website. But I think building those face-to-face contacts, especially if you're in a business that's specific to, if you're a nonprofit organization, you need sponsorships. You can meet with and build relationships with these companies. And then when they're looking at their fiscal year and their charitable giving, they'll think of you because they met you at a breakfast or they talked with you at a lunch and learn, or you came to their ribbon cutting, just different, avenues of creating those relationships, because that's really what it's about. Is you're building your business, but you're also building the community around you. Being able to have those contacts and those outlets and those resources for your business, I think is very important to have. And in a society that is moving more and more digital, more and more online, still having those opportunities to build those business relationships face to face, shake someone's hand, really get to know them as a person, not just in what their role is in their business. I think those are very important for success. Also, just looking at the area that you were in and making yourself stand out. How is my business different? Because, there's always some competition. So how am I going to make my business stand out from someone else? Why should you shop here instead of here? So just innovative ways to, do something different or look at the market and say, well, where is a gap? That I could fill if there's not any, we don't have XYZ in our area. Can we do that? Can, we add that to our inventory, or can we add that to our menu, or, can we add that to things that we offer to the community? So I think just being innovative in business, and we saw so much of that, I think, during 2020 of
really,
just businesses and, just the innovation of adapting to that. And most of them have taken that and built success on that, like, hey, we're going to do delivery. We're going to do curbside pickup. We're going to do online ordering, things that they didn't really focus on prior to that. Now that's part of their business model so that they can, continue that growth and that reach for their business.
Now, would you say that that's been, I guess, you mentioned in innovation and everything, has that been, like one of the biggest things that has happened, I guess, and successfully out of COVID? And then how do you see that continuing for, business and people thriving in the local area?
I do think it is. I do think, successful businesses, you're constantly adapting. You're constantly adapting to changes or, just, hey, a tree fell down. Okay. Real world example. We just did one of our biggest events of the year.
Yes.
For 26 years, the Pell City Chamber has hosted the block party in our downtown.
So that is so hard to believe. It's been 26. That is crazy.
Yes.
Wow.
So got, live music, vendors, kids carnival, just all kinds of things in our downtown. And our caterer, which I'll give her a shout out if that's okay, Blue Eye Eatery.
Please.
They were absolutely wonderful, but a storm came through right at the beginning of our event. We were holding down tents. It was pouring down rain. We made it through, and after that, it cleared up. But our caterer, a tree fell down across the only way in and out of her neighborhood. And so she messaged me. She's like, hey, I'm not sure if we can get there. They're waiting on, Alabama Power to come out, get the tree, because it fell on some power lines. So, and this tree is massive. So they're like, well, we're going to load everything on the boat. We're going to load everything on the boat, meet us over at Lakeside Park in a couple of trucks, and we'll get the food and bring. And that's exactly what we did. So just sometimes unexpected things happen, and you have to be ready to adapt to those things to really get the job done. So, I was, all of our volunteers and everyone were very grateful that they were able to adapt to that and, get all the food to us because it was wonderful. But just, finding another solution, finding solutions. And I think especially when you work with other businesses, and you have that network, if it's something like, hey, we don't do this here, but I know somebody that does, let me give you their number. And if you've built a relationship with another business that you trust, that's going to build your trust, of your customers and your clients, So like I said, it's all about those relationships.
Oh yeah, definitely. And that's I guess the cool thing about Pell City is, like we've mentioned, it's small enough for you to know a lot of people and have a network of people who not only support you but care. And they're ready and willing to jump, at the drop of a dime to pitch in to help. And you just say, hey, meet me over here and blah blah blah, and everybody's ready to spring into action to make something happen. And, we all go back and celebrate, I guess, at the block party and nobody knows a thing. It's just like, whoo, we made it through. But that is a testament to, the work that you're doing in order, bringing people together. And since I've been a part of the chamber and, even grown up in the Pell City community, that's what it's like. Pell City has so much to offer, but the thing that I'm most proud of is the community and, how people ask about my family and know my family and, know that, hey, you used to play basketball, you used to this. And it's like, oh, wow, you remember me? Like, yeah, I remember you when you were a kid and, oh, you're doing this now. Yeah. So I'm going to support you. And so, again, that's a testament to, you continuing with the work that you're doing, making sure that people are aware of those stories and those players, that make up the best of what Pell City has to offer. So how can people, continue to support the chamber and, how can they get involved with what you have going on and building on the economic impact and stuff of Pell City?
Well, if they'd like to be a member of the chamber, we have all different options for businesses, everything from large manufacturers to individuals and nonprofits. They can go to our website at pellcitychamber.com or email us at info@pellcitychamber and just get in touch with us, see what those options are, and just get plugged in, be active, and in that community, building those relationships, taking advantage of all of the benefits that we offer as the chamber, and getting the word out for them as well. Even if it's a new business just opening, so just seeing all of these businesses, whether they've been here and they're just opening and they've only been open for a couple of weeks, or they've been here for, let's do the math, 22 years.
Ooh, you are good.
Like 122 years, we're there to celebrate them. We're here to celebrate their investment in growth and investment in our community. So we're very happy to be, just a part of that to help, promote their businesses.
Let's talk real quick about the partnership that you have with Jacksonville State. Let me say that correctly. Jacksonville State University, and students taking advantage of the opportunity to go into higher education and further their education, and obviously into their professional endeavors. Can you talk about that partnership real quick and how it came about, and then how students and individuals can take advantage of that?
Yes. So Jacksonville State, they approached us a few years ago about entering into a partnership with them. And I know they've done it with a couple of other chambers as well. So I'm very grateful that they wanted to partner with us. But basically, if you are employed by a chamber member, you qualify. You can get a 20% tuition scholarship every semester. There's no limit. You can do continuing education, all the way up to graduate school on that. And there's no limitation on what type of classes or majors that you have, as long as you're enrolled there and they can verify that you're employed by a chamber member, you qualify. So they make it very easy to do that. You can be a new student, a returning student, as long as you're enrolled Jacksonville State University. So it could be a new enrollment, or you could have already been going there for a couple of years and just need that, supplementation for, if you're working part-time and going to school full-time, or, vice versa. That is a great opportunity and a great additional benefit, like if, especially for those businesses that hire, they have a younger employment base, maybe they're teenagers or they just graduated high school. They're looking at those opportunities. That is a great additional benefit that they can offer that doesn't have to come out of the pocket of the business owner. It's just something that's there that they can say, hey, because we're part of the chamber and you work here, you can get a 20% tuition scholarship. And that's every semester. And, they have like a dedicated web page. They just go in there, fill out a very short form. They verify it and they qualify. So we're very glad to have partnered with them. We also partner with the JSU Small Business Development Center. So they do free business counseling once a month. So they come out here. So if someone's starting a business, if they've, they have a business and it's fairly new, they have some questions about it, they offer free services. And it's all confidential. It's one-on-one. So if they have questions about, okay, I want to set up a new business. How do I need to set it up? Or do I need to put it under LLC? What paperwork do I fill out for that? What permits do I need? What licenses? All those kind of things. The Small Business Development Center can help answer all those questions and really point you in the way of those resources to get everything set up and get the ball rolling on a new business. So they're a great partner to have. And they come out here once a month to Pell City, so people don't have to drive to Jacksonville to do that by appointment. Like I said, it's all confidential. So if you have questions about finances, or, like, well, how do I file taxes? Do I need to put this in my name or under the business name? All those kind of things can be answered.
That is awesome. And, the thing about it is that is incentive for other businesses to join the chamber because of that benefit. Because, if they're looking for employees and they can offer an opportunity for them to, continue to excel in their career and earn a living, that is, I think, a huge plus. So I read somewhere that you are involved with an organization called Heart of Pell City.
Yes.
Can you tell us a little bit about that and your involvement with the organization?
Yes, I used to work downtown with Renee Lilly. She's an interior designer. She has since she's closed her shop, but she still does wonderful interior decorating and redesigning, remodeling, anything you want. But she really got me involved in the heart of Pell City, and it initially started as a partnership with the chamber to promote our historical downtown. And so as part of that, because I wasn't born here, I didn't grow up here. I moved here about 20 years ago, and, my kids have grown up here since. But I love history. There was an opportunity through the Alabama Tourism Department. They do in April, cities throughout the state do historic walking tours, and there's no cost for that. There's no cost to be a part of that. You basically just contact them, let them know when it's going to be, where your starting point is, and they do all this promotional material. And that really helps literally get your town on the map, because they send it out all over the state. And so for people that either have lived here their whole lives, or they're passing through, they're passionate about history, they want to learn something new while they're visiting. We started the historic walking tours about, oh goodness, 9 years ago, wow. I think. It's been a while. It all blurs together. But, and from that, just getting involved with, because I didn't grow up here with all of, the stories from grandparents and things. I went to the courthouse. I went to the library. I pulled all, documentation of, okay, these are the articles of incorporation for Union State Bank, of when it started and who started it. And you can see all their names written in there. And it was very fascinating, very interesting. Came up with a script, got volunteers out there to conduct the tours. And now Miss Vicki Harmon, with her, because she was very involved with the walking tours, she was out there every single Saturday. Yeah, every single Saturday. So from that, I guess, was born the Pell City Historical Society. So, she leads that up, and they've kind of taken over those historic walking tours, and they do seminars about Pell City history, getting people's stories on that, and, just, I guess, educating people on that. We went to the school systems, we did presentations about Pell City history, because to me, a lot of times you're learning history in school and you're thinking, okay, that's thousands of miles away, hundreds of years ago, and why do I need to learn that? Because it has nothing to do with me. I'm not interested in it. But looking at, I was like, hey, if you go downtown to J&R Sweet Treats to get an ice cream, if you see a big crack in the side of the building, that's because of an explosion that happened in 1903. Like the train depot exploded, and, 2 people died, several people, including the mayor at the time, were injured. And, if you tell them those stories, they're more invested, because they can walk in the same footsteps as people from 100 years ago. It's the same buildings downtown, and really getting to be, I hope that it comes alive for them. Part of what I tell the kids, like when we go into the classes and we talk with them, is, you here now, which means you are part of Pell City history, that you are helping to continue that legacy. You're helping to, continue that growth. So Pell City history is part of your history now. And we've got, so many new businesses. We've got a whole new shopping center coming in. We've got 3 new subdivisions that are under construction that they're selling homes for. So just the continued growth of not just incremental traffic, being on I-20, we're really well placed as far as that goes, but also just people moving here. So you see the growth in the schools, you see the growth in the community. There's, except 3 ribbon cuttings next week. So there's constantly new businesses opening. And so that just is a testament to how much people value this area.
And I'll tell you what, you've been here for 20 years. In the explosion that has happened in 20 years, I can only imagine, what's going to happen in another, you know what I mean? In another 20 years. Like, it's phenomenal.
Yes.
Coming to Pell City. And like you said, like driving 20, you would never know.
Yeah.
What happens when you turn off, and it's like, oh my God, all of this, so it's you're so right. So I'm gonna put you on the spot real quick. You talking about the history of Pell City.
All right.
2 questions. What's the oldest business or structure that's still standing from the 1900s? And then the other question is, what's the most interesting story that you can tell us that I guess encompasses what Pell City, I guess that's the best part of Pell City that people should know about?
Okay. From history or just, okay.
You pick.
Okay. Well, the oldest building that's still standing in Pell City is the Maxwell Building, which is downtown, which actually has J&R's, Merle Norman, several other businesses that are located in it. It was built in 1890. It was the only brick building. Yeah, it was the only brick building at the time. And Maxwell was actually from Canada. He was a tanner, and he came down, he built that. You can kind of see it in there's a few old photos of downtown, and there's that building and there's nothing else around it. So that is actually the oldest standing building from Pell City history. And it has been everything from the post office to a hotel to a grocery store. There's been a lot of things over the years. It was actually, standing at the time when that explosion happened, and you could still see the scars of that on that building. And then when they had an economic crash in 1893. So it was basically a ghost town at the time. And so they had goats in that building.
Goat? You said goats?
Goats. Yes, goats.
Okay.
I guess they were using it like a barn, But that's one of the interesting stories. But yes, that's what is the oldest standing building in Pell City. And then the other question, oh goodness.
I know that's putting you on the spot. That's on purpose, though. That's on purpose.
So just an interesting story of people coming together, or...
Yeah, I guess what you would say if you had to tell somebody about Pell City and why somebody should want to come to Pell City, what's the best parts of Pell City, what would you tell them? What story would you tell them that would paint the picture?
Oh, goodness. Yeah, that is a tough one. I think when I think about it, certain people come to mind. Miss Doris Munkus, she started the Pell City Line Dancers, and they've done Dancing with Our Stars for a very long time to raise money for, the police department, the fire department, the sheriff's department. And this past year, they supported SEPA through those efforts. But you just see the community come together to raise money for our community and for other people in our community. And, they'd worked so hard on that, and they're all volunteers. They do dance classes every week, and they do groups. They go out. Yes, they do. They do classes at the Civic Center, and then they go to nursing homes. They go to senior centers. They're very involved in the community. They're just getting out there, and just from the kindness of their heart and their willingness to give back to the community. And I think that really showcases what Pell City is about, is people like Miss Doris and people like Rotunda, who's on our board of directors, who's involved in so many things. And she's so giving and just ready to jump in and be involved. Casey Cameron, who started Lakeside Live, and he's got his nonprofit organization started. He's got 3 businesses, but he still takes time to invest and give back to the community, and then Lake Fest was they've been doing that for over 10 years now, just to showcase our lake. Cause we haven't talked about the lake.
Yeah, we have not talked about the lake.
No, we have not talked about the lake yet. But, just to showcase that, because it does bring a lot of people out for the summer, a lot of people on their boats, just having fun on the lake, a lot of tourism to our area as well. But I think that to me is just groups, like Miss Jean Spear, Mr. Bob Osborne, just people that are giving so much to the community, giving back. They both have programs that help feed people that are hungry or in need, may have some food insecurities, and there is all volunteer organizations. And I think that really is the heart of what Pell City is about, is people invested in their communities, not just for what they get back from it, but what they can give to it, and just to make it a better place to live for everyone, especially those that may be in need, and just, coming together over that and just bringing the community together. So I think those are some examples of what really shines to me about what's good about Pell City.
Now, a couple of those people I know pretty well. Jean funny story about her. If it's the Jean that I think that it is, her mom used to drive school bus and drove
Oh,
us when I was playing basketball, long time ago, everywhere. And I'm telling you, if you need somebody that can get you there and you're safe and you feel like you driving with riding with mama and mama's gonna take care of everything, that was Miss Spear. So Jean is and her sister are wonderful, wonderful people, and their family just awesome people. So I'm glad you mentioned her because yeah, Jean's good people. Good people. So I got to have
yeah.
them now. Now you're telling me who I need to have on the podcast. That's awesome. So we didn't talk about the lake, but of course that is definitely what Pell City is known for, is the gateway to Logan Martin. But yeah, can you kind of quickly highlight, some more of the great things that are happening surrounding, the lake and what it has to offer too?
Well, we have Logan Martin Lake, of course, beautiful lakeside park. There's swimming
Mm-hmm.
available there. Wonderful marinas, like River's Edge Marina. They have expanded and grown so much out there. If you haven't tried
Mm-hmm.
one of their burgers, definitely go check them out on a Saturday. They have a small beach area. They're always doing different events out there as well. So they have grown so much over the years. And just having that option as far as the lake goes. Plus it's beautiful. The communities and the homes along the lake have really grown as well. But also where we're located off I-20, we're really not far from Birmingham. We're not far from Leeds at Moody, Barber's Motorsports, the track out there where if you go the back way, it's only about 12 miles to Talladega. Super Speedways, we're right here, and the International Motorsports Hall of Fame is right there. So having access to all of those things, not just the big events that go on, but the smaller things throughout the year. You can do tour tracks. They offer opportunities for nonprofit organizations to raise money. You can pay to go drive on the track, which is it's pretty fun.
Yeah.
We had a breakfast. We had a business builder breakfast out there for the chamber, and they were wonderful, absolutely accommodating. I got to ride around the track with the track president, Brian, and I think we got up to about 160 miles an hour. And so
Makes you
that
go.
was a little fun. Actually, it wasn't that bad going fast. It's when he stopped at the top of the
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 incline.
track,
Yeah.
stopped
Yeah.
at
Yeah.
the top, and you don't realize how far up. He's like, just look out. It's 3 stories high up here. Yeah. And you're sitting there sideways and you're like, oh, wow, can we go? Can we move now? Just those things, and how much, like those 2 weeks of Talladega bring in so much revenue
Oh
and
yeah.
so much people from everywhere, 150,000 plus people just like in April and October. But they come and they stay in our hotels and shop at our Walmart and our stores and eat at restaurants here because we are so close to Talladega. So really, with our community, and that's something that we've done over the past couple of years too, is really built a stronger relationship with our neighboring or regional chambers. So Calhoun, Talladega, Lincoln, Leeds, Moody, and really coming together on that and sharing resources. We have a lot of members that overlap because they're invested in this area, like Honda Manufacturing. A lot of people that work in Lincoln at Honda live in Pell City. So, really is a symbiotic relationship, and the chambers coming together. We did a regional breakfast at Carolyn Oaks in Lincoln. And they remodeled and repurposed the old Lincoln High School to a retirement home. And so they have a specialized wing for, those suffering from Alzheimer's or dementia, but they did it so beautifully. And being able to celebrate that with the whole region, St. Clair County, because, our counties all touch. There's a lot of overlap. There's a lot of support there.
Well, Urainah, thank you so much for being on the Pell City Podcast. And of course, we will continue to give you more episodes of everything about what's happening in Pell City, surrounding counties. So definitely stay tuned for more to come, more stories, more wonderful personalities, and just the best of what makes Pell City and our surrounding counties great. So thank you so much, Urainah. And of course, we will be supporting the Pell City Chamber of Commerce and everything that you do. Thank you so much.
This episode of the Pell City Podcast is brought to you by networkwithexperts.com. Log on now and grab the Content Marketing Essentials bundle today. Thanks for watching.